What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment before you start watching the video. um I'm gonna analyze gold for this coming week. I haven't checked out the markets for like a couple of days, but I am back, and let's see what we have for gold this coming week. Make sure you join the community. Link is in the description. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. But yeah, let's get started. I don't want to waste any time. I'm gonna get started, and we're gonna check out the weekly time frame, and then we're gonna head on to the daily time frame. As we can see already here, we were bullish. We had this small correction, and then we had this big weekly candlestick. We thought that we were gonna go up, but now we're starting to see price starting to reject off of the zone and start to go down. We can also see like this weekly fair value gap that we can still say that it's holding because we never really closed above it. So we can say that this weekly fair value gap that caused a market structure shift, otherwise known as a change of character. This is something that we should pay attention to. The fact that we are struggling to break above this fair value gap and just rejecting off of it, we must look at this and pay attention to this, because this might be telling us that the buyers can't push past this point, and then the sellers may be coming in strong, and we may be looking for sells. So this is what we see on the weekly change of character. The fair value gap that the weekly created is still holding, so we're paying attention to that. Let's go to the daily and see what the daily is trying to tell us. Okay, daily, I can already also see something on the daily. We see something similar as to what we saw on the weekly. I also see this fair value gap that is still holding. We're not closing above this fair value gap also. That's another thing that we should be looking at and paying attention to. And also, never mind the fair value gap, you can also just look at this point right there. We can see that this is a very strong key level. We have our first, second, third, fourth touch. We can see that every time price comes here, we see a struggle. So price struggling at this zone could be telling us that, hey, listen, I am gonna go down. So this is very interesting to see what the daily is doing. Our third touch on that resistance zone right there. Let me just mark it out. Our third touch on this resistance zone right there is telling us that, okay, we might be going to the downside, also seeing strong momentum to the downside with these big candlesticks. So far, I'd say let's head to the 4 hourly, see what the 4 hourly is trying to tell us. 4 hourly, here we go. So you do know that we are currently rejecting of the weekly fair value gap and the daily fair value gap, and we also see that, okay, momentum to the downside is strong, because we just keep going down. We tapped again into this resistance zone, and then we're starting to see price push to the downside, right? One thing that I'm already seeing right there is we seeing this trend line forming right there, right? This trend line forming right here. We see this trend line forming. So okay, we're gonna take that into account, right? And then we're also gonna mark out this key level that we have right here as our support zone. We're gonna mark out this key level as a support zone. So what we are seeing right there, right, it's basically quite simple when you look at it, right? For us to confirm, for me to say that, okay, that gold is going to continue selling, I need to see a break of this trend line, right? I need to see a break of this trend line. But for more confirmation, I would say a break of this support right there, right? So a break of this trend line, right? And then maybe a retest, and then a continuation to the downside, right? That's like what I see overall, right? If we are gonna be headed to the downside, like for selling opportunities, this is what I see. If we break this trend line, this simply tells us that, okay, momentum is still strong, so we might be going down further, right? The break of the support would be more for confluence, right? We continue taking it to the downside for the we wait for price to break the support, break the trend line, retest, and go up. So this, if you're gonna wait for this will be just safer and extra confluence for you to take to look for sales position after we disrespect these two zones, right? Furthermore, if we are still gonna look for buyers in this market, we need to see at least let's go to the hourly. I remember we have a gap somewhere. Market created the gap down there, so that could be a POI, right? There it is. Market created the gap, so this is where we could be headed to come fill this gap. So this is a gap that market created right there. I am gonna pay very close attention to this, because usually when price comes back to fill these gaps, it do usually bounce back up, or if it's buying and then going to fill up a gap that it created on the upside, then it's most likely going to drop after filling that gap. So this is a gap that I'm going to be looking at. Probably look for potential longs when price comes to come fill this gap. But anyway, like I said, so the whole idea right now is we're seeing strong momentum to the downside. Might be looking for sells if we break this trend line retest or break the support zone and look for a retest right there. And then for us, really, for me to look for buys in this market right now, I would want to see a change of character. If I can see a change of character after bouncing off of this trend line, and then if I can see a change of character, then I would start looking for buys. Even if we bounce off back of this support zone, I would wait for price to give me a change of character first, and also disrespect this trend line by closing above this trend line strongly. So that's how I am gonna look for buys. That's my whole idea. Right now we're just waiting for confirmation, as I told you guys. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to be patient with the market and then join the community. It is absolutely free. And then yeah, so far I'll see you guys on the next one. This was a market breakdown for gold. See you. PIPBOY out.